due to cold weather, I get to be in the shop a few days. We've been grinding and grinding and grinding. I haven't had very much time, and Sundays I try to leave it for family time and stuff. So luckily I'm in the shop, and I'm going to be working on that 252 stump grinder. All right, but this is basically a video about fabrication too. I showed you before the problems and what we're going to be doing, but I want to show you some stuff. We're going to break this up into two parts, all right? So this part here, I cut off a piece. We got to do some fabricating. That's later, all right? We're going to come over here. So I don't care what you have, a car or anything like that. This part here goes underneath there and protects your belt and a pulley. We'll go review when we go to the other part. So the problem we have with this, all right, and this is just some basic fabrication skills that any of you guys can handle. If you don't have a MIG, you can rent one. I think even Home Depot rents them, or, you know, if you're gonna rent one, it doesn't have the bottle system, you'll be using what's called flux cord wire, or find a friend that has one, okay? But the problem with this part, let me show you. One thing is this cover here, this is a part that it bolts up with, it's been worked so many times. This is a weld here, and it's got some hairline. I'm looking at hairline crack. It's a little thin. You see a little crack there. Follow my one finger, you'll see a crack in the weld. All right, here. It's just, you know, this takes a tremendous amount of abuse. Look at the back side of it. I cleaned it up a little bit, but it's thinning. The metal is not, you see at the ends, it's real thin. Oh, it's hard, the camera's focusing. There you go, see it's thinning out. Well, this is another part that was on the machinery there, that this went here, okay, and it hinged. That this protection cover would hinge down. Well, it got fatigued, it tore, someone had welded it several times. Look, it wore itself out. The bolt passes through here, and it vibrating and holding just wore itself out. So I had to go find some tubing just like this, which I was having a hard time. Well, you know, I went to Home Depot, to places like that, the big box stores, I couldn't find it. I ended up having to go to a place called the Metal Supermarket. I found them on the internet, and apparently they opened a store here. But I was able to find that tubing, which if you go, a lot of you guys will be able to find it, okay? This is basically 3/4 of an inch outside diameter, inside it's 1/2 inch. See, it's a thick wall tubing, all right? Now, I bought a foot of this. Good Lord. A foot of this, and this is the proper, if you're gonna go order it, that's what it is. Cold roll tube, there's your exact code what it is, all right? And 1 foot of it was $13.84 with tax and all, $15.02. Now, I needed some more. What this is basically 16th steel, which is also known as 12 gauge. They had some cutoffs there, and they were trying to price this little piece for me, and the manager finally came by and said, hey, you paid for the tube, take that. So what we're gonna do with this is, I'm gonna cut. Normally I just cut this off, but I'm not. I'm gonna reinforce this. So I'm gonna cut, weld it all the way around, build it nice and square. We'll fabricate a piece, put it for that. I've already, well, look at that. I don't have my coffee yet because I don't drink coffee, but I'm drinking this. I like it. Do you know there's like a national shortage of this stuff? I don't know why. I mean, who would ever think that's gone? Every time I see it in the store, I got to buy a supply because if it disappears, I don't like other flavors. Anyway, I'm going to touch up some welds here. The piece that went on that, which goes on that, I've already cut it. goes right in between here, and then I'll run a bolt through it, the proper size bolt, weld it on a piece of steel when it goes onto that. We'll do that part separate. So all this was twisted too. I heated it up and made everything straight. The piece fits in there. Everything's good there. So what we got to do is cut this piece, which I'll measure it up, cut it, and then behind here are nuts. I don't know if you can see them. I showed you in another video. I'm cutting the back nuts off. Originally I was going to weld nuts on there, but that metal is a little fatigued and thinned down. Somebody's been working around there before. So one of the viewers sent me a comment, and he said make a nut stop. And then I Googled it, and I was like, you know, it's just a plate that basically I'm going to be drilling through and retapping it. It'll be even better. It'll be a large piece that goes behind there. Basically, it'll sit behind here, and the bolts will go through here and screw into this. This is a piece of thicker stock. I think this one is, let's see, this is 16th. This is 3/16. I'll cut it, tap it. We'll show you how I do that. So, hanging around. Oh, and this is on one of my other videos. I've been using this deal. I showed you how you take a Harbor Freight bandsaw and you buy this from a guy on eBay, and it changes into like a tabletop. I really like it, and I've been cutting all these small. I've used it on another video. I fabricated a part for my other piece of machinery. So I cut the tubing with this. It was able to be precise and cut this nice tubing. So that one's done. That goes onto that part of the machine. Now we're going to cut this plate. I'll measure it out. We'll cut it on here. I'll show you me cutting it. And hang around. Okay, we're done. We ground after wells from the factory. Let me show you something. These sides are held on with only 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side. That's what holds the side plate onto this. So this takes a tremendous beating on the machine because this ground pressure, dirt, the stump grinder is always pushing down on stuff with it. And this, you'll find on your, look at your old machines, you may be getting some dirt in there from the cracking or the separation of where the weld line was. So we welded ours all the way up. And then we retacked a few of the back factory welds, which were pretty sloppy. And I'm not a professional welder. I'm just you in a garage. Okay? So here's that top plate that we welded. It's thicker now because we put that other piece of steel on top, drilled everything. Ran a bead here, ran a bead on the side, ran a bead on this side, and one across the front. So now we're looking at a nice thicker surface all the way around that will go. It gets mounted here. So now we got a good surface for the bolts to go through. It'll last somebody many years. We got some nuts that were welded here that are really worn. I'll grind those off, and then we're going to make a back plate for it. A nut plate. And we'll be making that out of 3/16. I'll cut this to the proper size behind that. And then we'll do our repair that we were doing, this bottom section, which is this part that we showed you earlier. We cut the tube. Tube fits in there real nice. I say that, but I'm trying to do stuff with one hand. I'll have to dress it just a little bit with my grinder, and it'll fit right in here. And so this part, she's done. It needs to be primed and painted. So with that being said, this is something you can do. This piece from Vermeer is $350. You know, playing around in my shop, I got an hour and a half just welding her up, grinding it, fitting some stuff, making sure, using that. Oh, and I didn't use that plate that I got. You know what I used? Remember? Here's the plate they gave me from that place to use, 3/16. Well, guess what? That's what I used. Remember, I tell you I always scavenge with stuff. You know what that is? That's a commercial grade metal edging. Okay, they pulled it out of a job site that I was at. I popped these things out, and happens to be same 1/16 gauge. I cleaned it up, ground it all up, cut it, use this to cut it. That's what I use. I got nothing in there. All I got is, look how much tube I got left. How many projects I can still do. You know, they probably would have sold me a lot less, but you know what? I like having spare stuff to where who knows when I'll use it again. All right, so there's that part. She's all done. She'll be primed up. That's one repair. You need to look at your machines and Fabrication 101. A high school kid could have done this, all right? This will be a little bit more complicated, but really not. Well, I'll walk you through this part. I already cut it out. I showed you in another video. I cut it, and now we're gonna build the lock plate for that in another video and put that bottom back on there. And you know what? All I gotta do is fabricate. I got the tubing for this, right? We already cut that. So now I gotta cut this piece of plate. I got the plate there. I'll cut it. Put it up there, we'll mock everything up, tack it, just tack it. Make sure everything works, then we'll weld it up. All right, so anyway, God bless you. See you on the next one.